conservatives have been spending time perfecting their shadow puppet politics, okay? That's all they do, all right? They just do shadow puppet politics. That's it. It makes you think, they want to make you think like there's more of them than there actually are. The silent majority always has and always will be a very loud minority. There's a reason why they keep losing election after election after election. If Donald Trump was such a popular president, how did he lose and by so much, right? And you know that he lost. And you know that you're not as popular as you think. So why are you lying to me? So some of you guys may have heard, some of you guys may have seen, especially if you're on the Bird app, you may have gotten some of these ads soon, since ever since Elon took over the Bird app. He took away the ban on political ads, and now I'm getting weirdo political ads from the worst human beings on planet Earth. Not exactly one of the worst human beings, but still has a little bit of problems. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, has started paying for some ads, but he's doing it in like a, better way than I could imagine. He's pushing for a couple of things. One is a 28th amendment. He's looking to make a 28th amendment, which would raise the federal age to buy a firearm from 18 to 21. Which, that's cool, I guess. That seems nice, I guess, sure, whatever. Hell yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Cool, that's fine. And he's kind of making tours around the country, basically saying that he's kind of thinking about running for president or trying to he said himself he's trying to band together all of the states, especially the Democratic states. He's trying to put them all together to make like a Democratic state bloc, which I genuinely think would be pretty cool, if I'm not going to lie. Like a Democratic state bloc to work together to undo problems that the Republicans would like to undo problems and human rights violations that Republicans would like to inflict on the human populace. You know what I mean? Yeah, we won't see any amendment for a good while then. We're not going to be seeing any amendments for like a long time, but that's okay. That's okay. We can do things outside of amendments. Anyways, Gavin's been touring the country kind of like DeSantis, but trying to do good things instead of bad things, mostly. We'll talk about that in a little while, but he's kind of interesting. I don't know. What do you guys tell me, what do you guys think about like this new Gavin? Have you been keeping up with this new Gavin Newsom sort of push? Have you been seeing him more often? He's been going on shows. He's been on TV more. He's been doing more speeches. He's rolling around the country. Recently, he was in Florida. He's been doing like political moves in other states outside of outside of California, across the country. He's a gigalib. He is a huge, massive gigalib. You're right. Like, I can't lie about that. That part's just true. He's trying to brand himself for 2028. That's what I think. Personally, I would like I would like a sort of like maybe Walker. No, wait, what's governor of Minnesota? What's his name again? I forgot his name. I'd like Whitmer. Whitmer sounds like she'd be kind of cool as a president. I'm not gonna lie. I think she has a really good chance of making it as president. I think Whitmer being like first woman American president could go kind of nutty. I'm gonna be honest. Like, can you imagine like the Rust Belt states banding together and the other states banding together all in one like giga lib block to do some good things? I feel like that'd be really cool. I feel like that'd be really, really cool. Newsom has been waiting to be president ever since he's been my governor. Posting running. He's a giga NIMBY lib. Yeah, like he's like every California Democrat. They sound pretty good on paper all the way up until you ask them their opinion on poor people, and then they put on an armband and can start goose stepping. They're pretty okay until you ask them about what like their plans for poor people, like people who have homeless issues, drug issues. That's when things really start to fall apart. That's when it really, really starts to fall apart. Healthcare, yeah, that as well. But, we'll see. Anyways, but I know for a fact this guy is doing something to run for president. So I want to talk about this a little bit. There was a Hill article not too long ago. Newsom's media blitz fuels presidential talk. California Governor Gavin Newsom's rising media profile in recent weeks has renewed speculation over his presidential aspirations. Newsom seized on a fight with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis over the decision to fly several dozen migrants to the Golden State, threatening a possible charges against Florida officials and labeling DeSantis as a small, pathetic man. He also raised eyebrows earlier this week with a sit-down interview with Fox News' Sean Hannity, and we'll be watching that. That's the main reason why we're talking about him today. His aggressive media play comes amid heightened anxiety within the Democratic Party over President Biden's age and low popularity, raising the question on what exactly Newsom is aiming to achieve. I don't know. Do you think possibly Newsom is being groomed by the Biden administration if like Biden can't run to take over? Because like, let's be honest, Kamala Harris can't win. I don't know who Kamala Harris could win an election against because nobody really likes her, you know? People are like super indifferent about Biden. People don't like Biden, but if they're like, would you have Biden in office or like a Republican? They're like, oh yeah, definitely Biden. That's basically it. I can see it. She lost her own state. She was a senator from California. She came in, third place, fourth place in California? She lost to Biden and Bernie. I just don't think it's gonna work out. As a Californian, F her, yeah. I don't think she can, if I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Newsom could. I think Newsom really has the wine moms in a chokehold. Newsom has those Ohio, like Midwestern state wine moms in a chokehold. They love him. They absolutely love that guy. Mostly because of his stringent care for property value over human life, but you know, whatever, I guess. He is just a lib. He is just your average Dem lib after all, so you can't ask for too much from him. The wine moms, the soccer moms go crazy for Newsom. They really do. He's like the American Macron, if I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure if anybody has really made that comparison yet, but like he really is American Macron. You know? He kind of shits on working class people like a fair amount, but you know but things are mostly going in like the right direction. But there are a lot of problems as well still. He's the epitome of lib. He is just like he is the gigalib. He really is. He is the lib progenitor. We're also dripping in NIMBY Dems in Ohio. That is true. I don't know. I think he can make it personally. I would personally like someone like Whitmer more or anyone else, any like these Rust Belt governors. I definitely do. Waltz. Tim Waltz would go crazy. Tim Waltz would go nutty, dude. Can you imagine Tim Waltz presidency? Can you imagine a Tim Waltz presidency, bro? Holy. They bro would like resurrect Lenin. Policy platform, resurrect Lenin. They'd be crazy, dude. It'd be wild. I like it. He's starting to get up there in age. Does he want to be president? I don't know. All I'm saying is that it would be kind of cool. It would be pretty cool. But like somebody who actually cares about human rights and not being elected, well, I don't think you're going to find that many of those people in the Democratic Party, but you know, we can agree on a lot of things. That being said, let's watch something. Since Tucker has been kicked off of Fox News, the hosts have been having to pick up the slack, and it seems like they're trying to keep their ratings up after their most prized possession, their cash cow, has left them. And it seems like Hannity is going to be making some of the big moves because Hannity decided to have Newsom on and they had a little debate. And from some of the clips I've seen, it's a little contentious. So let's just take a little look. Let's get a little looky. And I feel like we could find something very interesting.
Welcome to Hannity, and tonight we're going to take you inside one of the most liberal executive mansions in America for an exclusive interview with California Governor Gavin Newsom. Now, no topic was off the table, no restrictions at all whatsoever. I did promise the governor that I would give him a chance to respond to each question without interruption. So, especially in the beginning of the interview, it is less debate-oriented. It's a little more debate-oriented as the interview goes on. And as you might imagine, well, Governor Newsom and I strongly disagree on pretty much everything. But to the governor's credit, he did sit down for an entire hour. He answered most of our questions. And by the way, that was something that the president of the United States, Joe Biden, is not even remotely capable of doing. So without further ado, here is part one of
So true. Biden dumb. Lamau, Biden dumb. Oh, man. Dude, make an AOC joke next.
my interview with California's Democratic Governor, Gavin Newsom. All right, so I write you. This pick got a lot of pickup, I'm sure you saw as well.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I want to do an interview.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do an interview. I want to make sure the audience understands up front. This is not going to be me. I want you to answer and give your views. I would say you represent probably about half the country, your views, and the other half represents mine.
No. No, actually. No. His views represent about 60% of the country. Your views represent about 25. That's, yeah. Lie detected. No, actually. Listen, I tell you so much, okay? I tell you this all the time. Conservatives have been spending time perfecting their shadow puppet politics, okay? That's all they do, all right? They just do shadow puppet politics. That's it. It makes you think, they want to make you think like there's more of them than there actually are. The silent majority always has and always will be a very loud minority. There's a reason why they keep losing election after election after election. If Donald Trump was such a popular president, how did he lose, and by so much, right? And you know that he lost, and you know that you're not as popular as you think. So why are you lying to me? The reason is because it's good to lie to your audience. You need to understand sometimes that when we look at a lot of conservative lies, they're not really lying to you, they're lying to themselves in their own echo chamber. Sometimes that propaganda is good in and of itself to be able to activate your base to start doing things and start feeling like there's more of them, when there actually isn't. If there were enough of them, they wouldn't be busing people, the same exact people, from state to state to state, from sea to shining sea, around the country to sit in on parent and go to like parent teacher meetings and school board meetings and pride events and drag shows and all of these places. If they had enough people to do it themselves, they don't. They never have and never will. And so this is just simply a lie. And the funniest thing about it is that all of them have bought into it. A whole lot of them have bought into it. You're starting to see the repercussions of that, because now a lot of them think that they can sit on the sidelines. Now a lot of them think that they're actually winning the war, the culture war that they started, when in all actuality, they always have and always will be losing. They're losers.
You agree? We're kind of divided.
Plus or minus, certainly divided. Yeah. No question. I mean, we're polarized, we're traumatized. We clearly are in these, and we're in these echo chambers. I mean, let's be candid, Sean. I mean, your folks are watching you and getting a certain perspective, and my folks are watching other networks getting a certain perspective as well.
We have studies that show a lot of Democrats watch me.
Well, including me. So I'm here for a reason. To wit the point, though, I think we need more of that.
Okay, like a lot of Democrats watch me. I mean, like, why? I look at some of his show as well. I don't actually watch him though.
That cross-pollination. We need more of these kind of conversations. And we
Anybody
need
else trying to get
not
cross-pollinated?
Just, accuse each other of misleading the American people, but I think confront each other in the context of providing opportunities to address some of the facts that are often omitted in terms of the conversations and topics we choose to pick up.
So what I see is, I don't know how you reconcile some of these differences. Now, you either believe in secure borders and law and order, and people that want to come into our country have to do it legally. I'm the product of that.
Right.
Or there are people that want open borders. You believe in defund, dismantle, no bail laws like cities like in New York, where the show originates from, or you believe law and order, safety, security is a prerequisite for the pursuit of happiness. You want energy independence, or you don't want any domestic energy production. I mean, how do you reconcile?
Well, I don't see those binaries at all. Quite the
You don't
contrary.
see it at all?
No, I don't. I mean, I want border security. Democrats want border security. We also want comprehensive.
But you don't want any walls.
I want comprehensive immigration reform. I want to actually address the issue more comprehensively.
Once again, walls don't actually help keep people out. It just leads to more people dying across the border, and it ruins the ecological system across Mexico and America. That makes it infeasible. That on top of the fact of why are people crossing over like this? He also isn't going to talk about the reason why a lot of people are crossing over is to seek asylum, and you need to cross over into America to seek asylum in America. You can't seek asylum in a country from another country. You need to be in that country.
Just like Ronald Reagan did in 1989. Just like, and with respect, Sean, you promoted yourself with the Gang of Eight and bipartisan legislation that got 68 votes in the Senate, only to die in the House, that could fundamentally address this issue, which is the issue. So I don't see those.
But I always
binaries.
had as my position, build the wall first. You're against building any wall.
I know. I have no problem with the 650 plus miles we have on border walls. I come from a state with the largest, I mean, San Isidro is the largest land port in the Western Hemisphere. I don't need to be educated on the issue of the border or issues of immigration policy.
But look, Medi-Cal for illegals is $2.7 billion to the state.
And how many?
Have you ever thought about how giving healthcare to human beings is kind of cringe? Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking? Okay, and helping people, it costs money. Yes, you're right. Just because it's expensive doesn't mean we shouldn't do it.
Billions are we spending for uncompensated care? People end up in the emergency.
Can I ask you,
on the back end, wasting taxpayer money?
Why is it wrong to just demand, if you want to come to this country, obey our laws, respect our borders, respect our sovereignty, apply, come in, and we can expedite the application process.
You don't want them to come in legally. Conservatives are not on the come in. Like everybody, like all conservatives want to lie to you and tell you that, oh, we're fine with immigration, just come in legally. No, you're not. All of you jumped on that white genocide thing with brown people coming into the country and saying that they're overrunning and destroying America. Whether they come in legally or not, you don't care. You don't want them here. Stop lying to me. You said it yourself. I'm not that dumb. Stop trying to pull the fast one on me. I know you don't care. I know you don't care, and you just don't want them here in the first place. You know this for a fact. And on top of that, we also know that you need to be in the country to seek asylum. So they have to cross the border. But they want to count that as well. That's proof that they don't care. They would point that out and talk about it, but they don't.
The latter part. Now you're having a conversation. This is where I think the vast majority of Americans.
That's why I'm here.
Well, that's the point.
I'm here to bring us together.
And that was the point of the comprehensive reform. Where's Congress? I mean, look, you can criticize Biden all the time. Biden's border crisis. I watch 24/7 surround sound anger machine around that. I get it.
Wait a minute. In 3 years,
I get it.
He will allow over 7.5 million people illegally into this country. Right. You have to see there's something wrong with that.
No, I do. And I see there's something right with what he's done post Title 42, a 70% reduction, taking a lot of the core tenets that the previous administration used. He's now being sued by the left, not just being applauded, certainly by the right. That said, here's what's missing. The conversation you just suggested we should be having around dealing with asylum seekers.
Yeah, and the craziest thing about it is like, Donald, here, listen. Obama was deporter in chief, okay? He deported more people than Donald Trump did. Biden is getting to deporting more people than Donald Trump did as well. Like, Donald Trump's government is just dysfunctional. Democrats do more conservative talking points, and they make more conservative headway than conservatives can sometimes on certain issues. The border is one of them, honestly.
seekers and backlogs and updating and modernizing our visas and addressing a pathway that Ronald Reagan himself acknowledged.
Let me ask you if you support this.
And I think those things are missing.
Should we have background checks?
Yes.
Should, in the middle of a pandemic, health checks?
We did.
Should we have means testing so the people that enter this country are not going to be a financial burden on the American people?
But what do you mean by means testing here? Like what is that? Means testing what? Healthcare? No, I don't think we should means test healthcare. I think everyone should just get life-saving healthcare, personally.
Prioritize already with certain, we prioritize with STEM, we prioritize with visas already. We prioritize
You're going to give a free college
workforce.
education and $2.7 billion of taxpayer dollars in California to Medi-Cal. And that's for illegal immigrants only.
No, and we're spending the money already. I know everybody on the right can't stand sanctuary policy. I understand that. Rudy Giuliani, by the way, Trump's old attorney, was a huge proponent of sanctuary policy.
I didn't know that.
Actually said it keeps you healthier, safer, and more educated. Actually,
I know anything about my own policies. That's crazy.
When he was governor, or rather mayor of New York. It's the cards that are dealt in the absence of comprehensive reform. I'm all for comprehensive reform. I'm for background checks. I'm for addressing border security in all its forms and manifestations, not just walls. I'm addressing a legal pathway. I'm actually wanting to address all these issues, but I want to do it in a rational way and not just bastardize the conversation as exclusively about the border.
Okay, I have here my pile of stuff, the exact federal law that prohibits. Now, there are two court decisions that you might be able to cite. One is the Trump lawsuit. That was in the Ninth Circuit. The other is some wording and one opinion that Justice Scalia gave some years back. But it is unambiguous when you read the 18 U.S. Code as it relates to entering the country that you've got to do so legally. By characterizing the state as sanctuary, aren't you thereby violating federal law, the laws that are on the books, and that our own Constitution states very unequivocally that, in fact, you should be following?
Wait a second. What?
The Trump lawsuit, that was in the Ninth Circuit. The other is some wording and one opinion that Justice Scalia gave some years back. But it is unambiguous when you read the 18 U.S. Code as it relates to entering the country that you've got to do so legally. By characterizing the state as sanctuary, aren't you thereby violating federal law, the laws that are on the books, and that our own Constitution states very unequivocally that, in fact, you should be following?
No. No. No, actually. They're not. No, because all they're saying is that if you want to come here, you can come here. All they're saying is that we're just not going to like deport you and your family and like separate your family and shit like that. That's not illegal. They shouldn't be doing that.
Policies have been on the books for decades. Cities, Democratic cities, Republican-led cities in the past, Democratic states, clearly, more modern conception around dealing with reality, the cards that are dealt. Right. You want people that are victims of crime to come forward and report those crimes. That's the purpose of sanctuary. You want a kid be educated that's here regardless of how they got here. You want that kid educated. You want to take care of someone that's in an emergency and not have them concerned that they're going to be deported by a nurse. The point is you deal with reality. But look, I stipulate I'm happy to get rid of those protections by doing the hard work of actually coming together as a nation across our differences and support comprehensive reform and modernize our asylum system and modernize our immigration system. This issue will only get worse. It's not just a border issue, is the point.
7.5 million people under Joe Biden will illegally enter this country in 3 years of his presidency. Yep. To me, that's unconscionable. That's unfair to the American people. That's unfair to the states, including your state. That's unfair to border states like Texas.
What do you mean unfair? I was born here. What do you mean? It's me being born here. If that's the case, then me being born here is unfair to them because they weren't born here and they want to be here. And I literally didn't choose to be here. So now what? If you want to use that logic, like, it doesn't make any sense. Don't you think that people coming into the country is unfair to people who are already in the country? No, actually, I don't.
But here's where I want to just pause a second and ask you a really serious question. I don't think Joe Biden is mentally, physically capable of being the president of the United States. Hang on. I suspect if I took your phone and I took a look at it, not that I believe in privacy, I would never do that.
Please don't do that.
I would bet on a daily basis that there are people urging you to run for president and primary him. Am I wrong in my assumption?
Well, my phone's been lighting up how well he did with the UK Prime Minister. My phone lit up and how he
That's a nice duck.
McCarthy on the debt ceiling.
Does your phone light up?
My phone lights up with Republican friends saying, you know what? Despite all of the rhetoric, these bipartisan bills he keeps passing on infrastructure and the CHIPS and Science Act, the bipartisan work he did on gun legislation reform and around the debt ceiling, make me feel maybe he's done a little bit better job than some are
But that wasn't my
suggesting.
question. Does your phone light up with, Gavin, you need to get in this primary? He's not able to run. He's not up.
I'm going to be honest with you. I actually don't think so. I think the Democrats are all like rallying behind Biden. And why would they, here's the thing. I feel like that'd be a really big departure from what we've seen Democrats do before. They get really angry when you primary someone. They hate the idea of their politicians being made to answer for what they did when they were in office by somebody running against them. You know, they hate competition in these types of elections. So no, I actually think his phone's blowing up like, hey, you need to be careful. I think his phone's blowing up by like DCCC people being like, you need to watch yourself. All right. Lest we start cutting off some of your funding, lest we start cutting off some of your, lest we start cutting off some of your connections. Okay. I think they're fucking mafia threatening this guy. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, like, know your place, know your lane. And don't do anything that's going to jeopardize us getting Biden in again. That's what I think's happening. I mean, just look at the way they all act in and around election season. Look at how they acted when Bernie said that somebody should primary Obama or Biden. You know, they just get really mad. They hate that idea. So yeah, I actually don't think so. I think there's some people, who are like trying to get him to run like in the future, but not at the moment. That's my personal idea.
Everybody has their quiet chatter, and everybody's out there rooting for America. I'm rooting for our president, and I have great confidence in his leadership.
I don't want him to fail.
Been able to accomplish.
I think his policies are failing.
CHIPS Act, Science Act. Do you oppose that?
I will tell you on every measure, from the economy, inflation, borders, energy, national security, he's missing in action.
Let's talk about them in order.
I will tell you on every measure, from the economy, inflation, borders, energy, national security, he's missing in action.
Let's talk.
What do you mean? What do you mean by missing in action? He's done something on all those things. Do you mean like he's like completely fixed them? No, Joe Biden has not fixed every issue in America. Hey, I will say the economy is better than it was under Donald Trump at the moment. He also got us out of worse. He's almost completely, if not completely, stopped America's drone war in the Middle East and abroad, which I think a lot of people really don't talk about, even though it's incredibly important. Like, nobody talks about how Biden did something that a lot of people didn't even imagine that he would ever possibly even think about doing, which is stopping the American drone war across the world. But he actually did, which I think deserves some praise, because that's actually really cool and important. But whatever, I guess. Inflation is also down as well. He also helped out America when it came to the Ukrainian issue that ruined the gas industry. I was thinking of the word, like the gas industry that made gas prices go up. Gas prices are now back down. Like, I'm not the biggest Biden fan 24/7, ever forever. But I will say that, like, he hasn't done literally nothing. Joe Biden should have developed Compound V to get Spider-Man powers and save America. Yeah, why in the world has Biden not invented the super soldier serum yet? Like, what is this guy up to, bro?
Talk about them in order. Let's talk.
Hang on.
Wait, but I want to challenge the premise. You said the economy, 13.1 million jobs he's created. More.
These are post-COVID jobs. Okay. You know that. That's an artificial number.
No. Then let me stipulate this.
Oh, okay. Then at the beginning of Donald Trump's presidency, the economy doing well was actually Obama's doing and not Donald Trump's, even though you gave him credit for that. Anyways, he got into office and for the first like year and a half didn't pass a single policy. Actually, for the first 2 years, how much policy did Trump actually pass? What was it, like 3? He passed like 3 pieces of legislation under through Congress, even though he had the power to do so for like 2 years, unhampered by the Democrats almost at all, because he had the Supreme Court and he had the House and the Senate and the presidency. Bro, he did nothing. He did literally nothing. He did literally nothing. And the Republicans are way more in lockstep behind him than the Democrats were behind Obama. So the idea that he did nothing when Obama did even more than he did is just wild to me, honestly. Did Trump pass any policy in 3 years? 2? I think he passed 2 actual pieces of policy in his entire 4 years of being in office. The first one was to gut Obamacare a little bit because he couldn't get the full gutting to go through. And then what was the other one? I forget. It's been so long. Here, let me. Yeah, he did tax cuts on the rich, and he made it harder for poor people to use Obamacare. That, I think those are the literal, unironic, only 2 things he did when he was in office. Oh yeah, PolitiFact did something on this. It's so funny. Look at this.
Your president, Donald Trump, lost 2.6 million jobs during his 4 years. We've created 13.1 million. Fine, you can maintain a COVID frame. How about the fact that Joe Biden's created more jobs, 6 times more jobs than the previous 3 Republican presidents combined?
Are you going to tell me
Sean,
that the average family, where we have 2/3 of Americans now living paycheck to paycheck,
it was 70% under Trump? That was 70%. It was 70% under Donald Trump.
Pre-COVID, we had the lowest unemployment rate for every demographic.
We have the lowest black unemployment in history, and you and I are living with the lowest unemployment in our lifetime, Sean.
We had it for every demographic, and the economy was
black unemployment's record low under Joe Biden.
Okay. We had historic low after historic low under Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. I mean, but he's cleaned Trump's clock, Biden, in terms of the progress in job creation. Look at what he's done on jobs.
How would you grade Joe Biden's presidency? Because you're at odds with the American people and the Democratic Party.
If I would have to grade Joe Biden's presidency, I don't know, like like mid C. I'm gonna be honest, if in my personal opinion. Yeah, like a C- maybe, something like that. A B-. When it actually comes to like getting stuff done more than things that were like promised and didn't happen, I would say like trying is one thing. Like I don't really care about like trying if you don't actually get it done. If we're just talking about getting things done, right? Because you can be like, if that's the case, then we could be like, oh yeah, his president, like we could say like a presidency is actually an A++. It's actually S+. It's superior plus, because he wants to do good things and doesn't want to do bad things, but he didn't get anything done when he was in office. So nothing happened. So, I mean, in that case, sure, if we're just going on vibes and ideas, then sure, A++. But like with actually like helping people, I would say like a C-, C. C+, cringe plus. Yeah, there you go. For me, I wouldn't hold things like outside of his control, not like things outside of his control, making things that he wants to do not happen against him. But I would say, but I'm not going to give him credit for those things. So it's not like, oh, you tried, so here's some credit. It's just like, did you actually make it happen? Right? Because if that's the case, then every politician should run on, I kind of want to do good things, but like 99% of the shit that I say is not going to happen. So, whatever, I guess. Give me $300,000 a year, please. I'm just A for effort. I'll give him a B for effort, and C- for actually stuff happening.
What's your facts? I'm dealing with the facts.
What is your grade for
I'm going to go back. Let's talk. You brought up 6 topics.
You got to answer some questions.
I'm answering the ones in order. You brought up the economy. On the economy, let's talk about the economy.
You want to give him an A?
Inflation stubborn around the globe. Let's talk about inflation. It's down 40% since last summer, 10 months in a row, 4.9%. He was just with the UK Prime Minister at 6.9%. Is that because of Biden's
I think
Fed
Biden's
policy?
Economic and energy policies
Directly impacted the UK's inflation?
No, I am
Or the
telling
fact that France is 5.5% or Germany's at 6.1%? On inflation, we're moving in the right direction. On the issue of the border security,
he inherited 1.4% inflation. It went up to 40-year high after 40-year high.
Globally, because you just brought up, you were making an excuse for Trump's dismal jobs record related to COVID.
It wasn't a
but you
dismal
won't acknowledge
jobs record.
COVID's relationship to inflation globally.
That's actually a really good point. I'm glad he brought that back because when you bring up things bad happening under Trump, like the massive unemployment and poverty issues and people getting kicked out of their homes, and then the homelessness crisis that got even more of a crisis under his watch. And he's going to hand wave and say, oh, it was COVID. He couldn't do anything, even though he clearly could do something. Like back when Donald Trump had the ability to reserve COVID vaccines for America, when J&J and other vaccine manufacturers hit him up and told him that, hey, we have vaccines here that you can reserve if you need them. And he said no, because they weren't a part of his like accelerated vaccine program. And so he didn't want them. And so we got passed up on vaccines that were made here in our country that our tax dollars went towards funding the development for. All because he got really upset that they didn't want to be a part of his little COVID vaccine program, and they didn't go to his like conference where he was like flexing, look at all this stuff that I did, and they just did their own thing. And so we were behind when it came to COVID vaccines, and people died because of that. But whatever, I guess. Who cares?
And by the way, COVID and immigration impacting our inflation.
Let me stop you. All right, so I would assume you're going to give Biden an A. Here's the problem that Joe Biden has. You're arguing, you're fighting, you're battling, you're articulate. We could sit here for 3 hours, probably have a beer or two in the middle of this, and you can keep going. Here's the problem. Your president can't have this conversation. He's not capable of it. Now my question is a serious one.
All right.
Okay, is Joe Biden up to the job of being president? And as a little reminder, take a look at your president in the monitor.
And there's an awful lot of stories that are told, probably a bunch apocryphal about the former prime minister. Like you take baths up that, anyway.
Wandering around at 3 in the morning. Yeah, Winston Churchill.
By the way, I met with, who are those guys that fly over shortly? You heard of them, haven't you? And the cheer for...
Did you know that Biden sometimes forgets things? Did you know that Biden sometimes forgets things? Do you really think this man is up for the president? Bro, have you listened to Donald Trump talk for more than like 5 seconds? Dude is insane. I went to Puerto Rico recently. It's an island surrounded by water. Big water. Why can't we just nuke hurricanes? Like, what are you talking about? You're gonna tell me this one? It's the biggest water. Why do we like him taking the Sharpie? Listen, okay, wait. Now, this picture is the one that I use. Look at this man, okay? Like, a lot of people forget that Donald Trump literally had a weirdo fucking shining moment. Okay? Like, unironically. I can't believe people forget this. This shit's insane looking. Yeah, here we go. Look at this picture. This is a real picture that a journalist caught of Donald Trump's unironic notes that he had back when he was the president. Look at this. I want nothing. I want nothing. I want no quid pro quo. Zelensky needs to do better. Zelensky needs to do the right thing. This is the final word from the president of the U.S. Look at that. You're gonna look at this and tell me that this man is stable and incompetent. Look at that. Look at this. Red rum, red rum. Oh, and this is the guy. This is the guy you think is going to. This is the guy you think is way more mentally competent than Biden. Really? Like, really, bro?
A wall is medieval. Well, so is a wheel. A wheel is older than a wall. Although she does have a very nice figure. I've said that
It's not, actually.
if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Oh, it's so weird.
I went to an Ivy League school. I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words. We now have a gun on every table. We're ready to start shooting.
Boy, I'm ready to start shooting. I'm not going to be listening to this music, though. We're ready to start shooting.
I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the
Let me see.
5.5 years. He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay?
I was down there, and I watched our police and our firemen down on 7-Eleven, down at the World Trade Center right after it came down.
Look at what happened.
I forgot that he called 9/11 7-Eleven. Oh, the dude's so crazy. I can't even remember all the stuff that he did. I forgot. Oh man, I completely forgot about that part. I completely forgot about him being on ground level in 7-Eleven. He was there, dude. Where were you during 7-Eleven?
In the 1990s, our embassies in Kenya and Tanzania, and this was a horrible period of time.
I love
for us, were
Tanzania.
attacked. You know what uranium is, right? It's a thing called nuclear weapons and other things. Like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things. And I will tell you,
got a point.
I left Texas, and I left Florida, and I left Louisiana, and I went to Puerto Rico, and I met with the president of the Virgin Islands. The latest.
Puerto Rico.
Act of resistance
The stable genius.
is the op-ed published in the failing New York Times by an anonymous, gutless coward.
Enormous.
The wall, the barrier, whatever you want to call it, it's okay with me. They can name it whatever.
The Mexican barrier.
Name it Peaches.
A few weeks ago, on January 23rd, Venezuela's National
Venezuela's.
Assembly. They are risking their future. They are risking their lives and Venezuela's future.
You've really put a big investment in our country. We appreciate it very much, Tim Apple. I hope they now
I love Tim
take
Apple.
a look at the oranges of the investigation, the beginnings. In June of 1775, the Continental Congress created a unified army out of the revolutionary forces encamped around Boston and New York, and named after the great George Washington, Commander-in-Chief. Our army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do. The kidney.
This just bro does not know what he's on. Bill Microsoft, Tim Apple. It's just remarkable. Surrounded by a water, big water. Anybody up ready for some big water? We did everything he had to do. He's talking. And this doesn't even like all the way get up to. This doesn't even go all the way up to like what he was doing on Twitter before he got banned. It's wild. Oh, remember when he was like shooting paper towels to like a crowd of like dying, starving Puerto Ricans when they got hit with a hurricane, and then didn't fund their reconstruction? Remember that? That was crazy. Despite all of the press, Cafefe. Apparently this guy can be president. I think both of them are insane, if I'm going to be honest with you, but like Biden, I don't think Biden is much worse. I don't think Biden is much worse than Trump, actually. Oh yeah, this? Hey, here's some paper towels. Hey, off the backboard. Hey, come get some. Hey, you can't just hand it to him. Hey, a little back there. Hey, hold your hand up if you want one. Need some paper towel? I got it for you. It's your president here. Hey, call me the Globetrotter. Someone put him on a team. Someone put him on a team.
We cheer for Muslim athletes like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I know him, and I mispronounce his name. So I'm trying to think, where was the last place I was? It's hard to keep track. I mean, yeah, you're right, Ireland. That's where it was. EIGH%.
Thank you.
Standing up. Take a look at that one.
Oh, then he tripped? Oh my gosh.
I want you to tell me that you think he is cognitively strong enough to lead this country against China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and a new axis of evil, and that he's the guy, he cannot articulate the economy the way you just did.
Yeah, but I don't think he's capable. I know he's capable. I see results. I've seen a masterclass in results the last few years. You don't see the results on the CHIPS Act. You don't see the results on the infrastructure. You had Infrastructure Week every week for 4 years.
CHIPS Act, we're still importing them all from Taiwan, which is about to be taken over by China.
Hello? What? What? You think Taiwan's about to be taken over by China? Huh? Of course we're getting them from Taiwan. Everyone's getting them from Taiwan. Or Denmark. It's one of the two. There's only two places where people are getting chips from, really. Taiwan or Denmark. It's two places. What are you saying? What do you mean? He also he is also hacking over China like a lot, because he recently did something. What's it called? I forgot what it was called, but I'm not sure if it was a part of CHIPS Act, but we basically muscled China out of being able to have the same amount of chips and stuff along those lines. I'm trying to remember exactly. There was a multinational bill that was put through, working between multiple countries to help keep China away from advanced chips. And so now China is, I think, 1 or maybe 2 generations behind in microchip technology than the rest of the world, and the rest of the you want to call it imperial core, most the world powers, and they're going to stay that way for a while. And Biden's honestly one of the people who did it. And whether you agree or disagree with it, he did it. He did do it. China ain't taking over Taiwan at any point in time.
$4 billion proof point just here in California with Applied Materials, bringing semiconductor investment back here in the state of California. My point being,
we're going to talk about
real results, but bipartisan results, real results. Jobs programs, the IRA, I know you don't like it. I mean, hundreds of billions of dollars in green energy investment, mostly in red states. You're the biggest beneficiary of the IRA.
He raised taxes on oil,
does he mean
gas.
Does he mean IRS? Was he still remembering? Was he still remembering like Ireland? I don't think IRA, unless I'm thinking about this the wrong way. No, he means IRA for sure. Okay. IRA mentioned. IRS bad. Oh, the Inflation Reduction Act. Okay.
Coal, pensions, and quote tax.
Joe Biden gets up on stage, puts on a black balaclava.
Taxes, corporations don't pay taxes. They pass the cost on to consumers. That's all they do. You know that.
On the issue of energy independence, I think it was your second of the list of items.
Do you think he's cognitively strong enough to be president?
I have conversations with him all the time, yes. And I'll tell you what.
You do?
I'm dead serious about that. I've talked to him when he's been overseas. I've been in Air Force One, Marine One. I've been in the limo with him. I've spent time with him privately.
Okay, but you never answered my question directly. How many times does your phone ping a day, people saying you need to get in this race because they agree with me that he's not up to the job?
Jose, I see where you're going. I see where you're going with that.
I'm asking.
No, and I'm not answering.
Under any circumstances would you get in this primary?
No.
None.
I really am proud. I think he's a man of decency and character. I'm really proud of the president. I'm proud of what he's accomplished.
Well, I mean, maybe if Biden just wasn't running, then maybe, probably. But outside of that, no.
He's strong enough to be president. That's
strong enough. Look what he just did to McCarthy. He ran
Into
circles.
McCarthy.
Did he beat
Look at
him?
the vote card.
I didn't like the vote. I wouldn't have voted for it.
Exactly. Kevin got played by the President of the United States. I'm for results. I'm for results.
I don't think the
At the end of
American
day-
people benefit. I like the plan that would have saved $4.8 trillion. All right.
Yeah.
Now, so we're at a point.
No, like, I think the American people don't want their politicians to be cutting their social benefits, actually. But that's just me. I may be one of those guys who like my social benefits and don't want to be poor, so and starving. I would rather people's grandmas have to not choose between if they keep their lights or their water on anymore. That's just me, though, personally. Apparently, conservatives don't agree.
I think you are far more articulate, far more versed, far more energetic. I have this theory that people are going to come calling because I don't think in your party they think he's the guy.
Oh,
Just my thought. Now I've got a bunch
What do you
of.
have?
Well, look, I don't want to
got
make
more
this
papers.
an argument. I want you to
is that?
explain. Because my argument to you
What does
is
he have?
conservative policies work.
Okay.
You know,
Well, actually, my bad. I can't laugh. Yes, they do work. They make people poorer, dumber, less educated, less safe, and less healthy. So yes, they do work, and that is a lot of conservative policies' goals. So sure.
I don't care if it's Ronald Reagan. I don't care if it's Newt Gingrich's contract. I don't care if it's Donald Trump's 4 years as president.
Got it.
I believe his policies work. Peace through strength work, building up our military, building a wall, enforcing law and order, energy independence, which Biden gave up, which he didn't bring up.
Which I'm happy to directly.
Let me show you a list of corporate headquarters that are leaving your state in well,
No,
wait a minute.
let's bring it on. I look forward to having this
There you
conversation.
go.
I'm well aware.
Corporate headquarters, they're leaving. Look at San Francisco in particular. They're closing down because they can't keep their product in the store because they're getting robbed. I got another one for you.
So true. It's so true. In San Francisco, nobody even buys things anymore. You just steal and that's it. Like nobody even walks around with wallets anymore. All you do, you just pick something up off the rack and they can't do anything. They can't do anything about it. And then if they try and say, hey, you can't steal that, then Gavin Newsom himself appears behind you. Goes, what do you mean by that, Jack? Because we all know about Gavin Newsom, how much he loves poor people, he loves homeless people, and he does so much to help them. And he would never cave to NIMBYs and corporate interests to make the lives worse of Americans struggling because they can't afford to buy essential goods. He would never do that. He's Gavin Newsom. Come on.
Seasonally adjusted business applications. You always bring up Florida.
Yeah.
I compared you to Florida. I think you have a higher population, if I'm not mistaken.
A significantly higher population.
Why are they doing better in business formulation?
Well, we'll have to take a look at that in more
You
detail.
take a look.
I'm
Right,
happy.
hold
I'm
it.
happy that we're looking forward.
What is that?
How many more of these you have? Let's.
So what is this? Seasonally adjusted business applications. Seasonally adjusted business applications? Okay. What is this supposed to mean?
Go.
About
Bring
8.
them on.
Bring them all on?
Bring them all on. Let's have this conversation.
Okay, let me ask. This is a tough question for you.
I don't think it will be. Well, let's find out.
All right. So you're the first governor in history that has.
That is a very specific metric of success. Well, the Florida is doing much better than California. Look at the seasonally adjusted work applications. Everything about that?
Had a net migration out of the Golden State. Go west, young man.
Yep.
I lived here
Horace
by the way,
Greeley.
I lived here 5 years.
Horace Greeley.
I was the poorest guy in Santa Barbara at the time in the early 80s. If you look at, I want you to really look at this and explain for the years 2021 and 2022 why Florida is taking in nearly 1,000 people a day and you're losing 800 people a day. They're leaving. Tell me why they're leaving your state.
So,
Real reason is because California is expensive, because California is successful in doing, the capitalism thing. People are moving out of California because it's harder to be able to afford to be in California. The Democrats aren't passing a lot of laws to make it easier for people who don't have much money to be there. It's actually exactly what conservatives would want. It's capitalism on overdrive, bro. Like, of course they're leaving. Like, why you can't afford to be there because everybody wants to be there. It's expensive because everybody wants to be there and everybody makes a lot of money. So obviously they're moving to places that are cheaper. And then here's the thing. If this is the case, then Sean Hannity, ask me then, why are these people who are moving left wing and then bring those policies with them? If those people are rational enough to think that I can't live here in California because the liberal policies are so evil and stinky, let me just go there and then do the same exact policies. Don't you think that instead of it probably being that, it's just, I can't live here because it's expensive, and then they move somewhere where their money goes longer, a dollar goes for even longer, but make the place expensive again as well because they like being productive and to make money? Texas is getting expensive as well. Yeah, just look at Austin. A lot of places are moving from Los Angeles and San Francisco to Austin, Texas, and Atlanta, because those places are like a nice place to be. Everybody wants to be there. So obviously it'll be like that.
Stop at 3, or you want to do the whole?
No, we'll just answer one at a time.
18 states had declines in population. California's was 0.3%. You didn't bring up any of the red states that had decline in populations. It's an interesting fact, and I don't see it on here. An interesting omitted fact.
What's that?
Per capita, more Floridians moved to California than Californians moving to Florida.
I actually didn't know that.
I don't imagine is in one of your 8 slides. Let me take another stab at this. In 2021, California had 7.8% of GDP growth in this country, one of the fastest growing economies anywhere on planet Earth.
Why is he shuffling his paper so much? Is he like, oh fuck, I didn't know that. Oh fuck. And so is he kind of trying to find something to get one over on him? Is that why he's shuffling his paper so much? Shuffling papers with lots of stress.
The state continues to be the tentpole of the American economy. 25.6% of all American jobs came from this state in April. In the last 2 fiscal years, we enjoyed $177.7 billion in operating surpluses. We're on our way to be the 4th largest economy, eat your heart out, Germany, in the world. Number 1 in R&D, venture capital, more scientists, researchers, more Nobel laureates, more patents emanating out of this state than any other state in America. With all due respect, Florida doesn't even come close. Eat your heart out, Texas. California continues to be the dominant economic engine for the American
I promised you before this interview I would let you give full answers. That's a full answer.
Thank you.
Okay. Now I'm going to challenge it.
Good.
And the challenge is this is the first time in the history of the state that you've lost population.
Yes.
What the fuck? Well, we're losing population for pretty important reasons that are really hard to address, and also could be symptoms of the economy working, right? In this capitalist framework working. I think like if things become, if more money is being made, but like poor people have to leave, I think it's actually becoming worse. But in their like lib capitalist framework here, in this specifically, poor people getting kicked out of California through rising prices is actually, good in their eyes, right? So if this in this case, they would agree here and be like, yeah, it's good. It just doesn't make any sense. But he's just going to reply, he's just going to be stupid and reply with, well, people are leaving. Yes, we already talked about that. Thank you.
The first time.
Correct.
Now,
Okay.
I'm going to give you another sheet here. And this is about income tax.
Right.
Your state income tax is 13.3% of that.
Yeah, and like, thank you for providing me this, because I saw this the other day. I didn't pull it up. But yeah, listen, like, here's, stop trying to pretend you care about poor people. You're on Fox News. The last thing you care about is poor people. This is what you believe about poor people.
The left says they hate income inequality. There's no more severe income inequality than San Francisco. San Francisco has been hollowed out. All that's left is rich tech titans working from home and just bags of flesh mutating on the sidewalks. The left says they hate income inequality.
Bags of flesh mutating on the sidewalks. Nice one. As they record poor people on the street suffering. Nice one. Very cool. Very good. Did I just hear that? He's just a fucking creature. That's all he is. He's just a bad person. They're all just horrible people. A literal demon. Just horrible people. Listen, and here's the thing, okay? Like in red states, people are really poor. and they're suffering a lot, and things aren't getting any better for them. It's worse for them in red states. I don't like Gavin Newsom because I don't really like Gavin Newsom that much. I don't think he's the best guy, honestly. But like the idea that they'd be better off in a red state, which one? Because they're all worse.
The highest number. I also did more digging. The top 1% of Californians pay 50% of that total income tax bill.
Yeah.
Fully half.
Roughly. Yeah.
That's redistribution of wealth, isn't it?
Well, it's progressive tax
All right.
policy.
Now, look at yours, 13.3. What is Florida? What does that say? It says 0.
Mr. Newsom, have you ever thought about how people who have money pay more money than people with no money? Have you ever, Mr. Newsom, have you ever thought about how the people who have money to spend, who have money pay more? You're telling me, Mr. Newsom, that somebody with $1 billion pay more money than someone with $0? Curious, is it not? Is that your socialism at work?
0.
Well, it's factually untrue. It's not 0.
They have 0
No,
state
the
income
top
tax.
one. Well, the top 1% pay. Look, here you're
Income and corporate tax in California versus Florida. Wait, income and corporate. Wait, income 13, corporate. Isn't this usually offset by sales tax, which is a regressive tax? I know in Texas they offset it by sales tax, so their sales taxes are out of control, and cities are going bankrupt because they don't have like an income tax. Florida also isn't doing super well. Florida's a net tax money sucker, aren't they?
promoting. Sean,
is that a lie?
No. Here's what you're promoting.
Yeah, what's
You're
the sales tax
promoting
look like?
regressive tax policy. We don't believe in regressive tax policy. You're promoting one component of entire tax system, the 1%. With all due respect, you and I may pay the 1%. The vast majority of people watching don't. You pay more taxes in states like Texas for the middle class than you do in states like California.
Right now,
hold on, no, this is
we
important.
have too many
The American people don't know this. We have the highest tax rate for the 1%, but middle class families actually pay less than the majority of states in America, in California. The question is, who are you for? Who are you fighting for?
I am for. I'm just wondering, because I have homes in Florida.
Yeah.
And
you pay a lot of property tax there. Double what you pay in California. I would think twice about that.
Except if you add the millionaire property tax that you just put in L.A. County.
Well, that's a transfer tax, and we didn't do that. That was done locally.
Transfer tax is like $500,000.
By the way, I don't know if you can even get house insurance down
So
in
you're
Florida
telling me the loss of net population.
That is true. You probably can't even get a house in Florida if you're somebody who, if you're not one of these giga rich people. Probably can't. Florida has some of the worst housing in the entire country.
18 states, we were number 10.3%.
And this number here, 13.3%. Now, every Californian
Which
also
we've had since we've had for a decade.
Okay,
for a decade.
but right, and you supported it for a decade.
The public actually initiated.
Okay,
it was supported by the public.
But the point is, Florida has 0. The net population growth, per Florida is almost
1%.
Is almost 1,000 new people a day, and you're losing 800 people a day. Wait, here's my question: is this connected to that?
No, I respect your audience too much to let them be misled on this. Your audience doesn't live in that rarefied. No,
this is a lie.
You're manipulating some fundamental facts. You're omitting the fact that the vast.
I don't know if Newsom is good at like debate or anything right now. It kind of seems like he's not. Like, let's be honest, okay? Here's one thing. Why are people leaving? Like, he believes that it's income tax. How do you know that? Do you just think that it's the income tax that makes people want to leave like this? Did he see a study where it asked people why they're leaving California more than other places? Like, he's just going to say this. He's just going to say it, which I think is a problem, and it's just lying. People are leaving California because California is expensive. Why in the world would you not leave California if it's expensive? It just makes sense. It doesn't make any sense. And also, why would all this shit be happening if you're and it's just. Then why are these places getting more blue then? Why? Doesn't make any sense. People want to be in these places. It means they're expensive. This just in. Places that people want to be are expensive to buy homes in. More at 11.
Majority of people do not live in the 1%. You're talking about the 1% tax.
Also, why in the world is like corporate here for like corporate tax rate? Who cares about corporate fucking tax? Like, what do you think your average middle class person cares about the corporate tax rate?
And pays half of it.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm talking about the American people don't live there. And the reality is when they live in Texas versus California, middle class pay more than they do in the state of California.
Texas is higher tax than Florida, that's for sure.
Yeah,
but
and
your
by the
beef
way,
seems to be with Ron DeSantis.
No, and well, man, we could talk about Abbott
the
for a good
kidnapper.
section.
We'll get into that in a little bit.
You know, here's my
The kidnapper. I do think these conservative like governors should be tried for kidnapping. 100%.
point. Yeah. We've had a progressive tax, but I didn't establish the 13.3% that was done before I even got here. I've opposed new increases in the top 1% tax. I opposed a statewide wealth tax. I've never been a profligate Democrat. I balance budgets. We make the hard choices. I'm a business guy.
You have a deficit of $32 billion this year.
This state, we dominate in venture capital, innovation. We have the finest system of public higher education anywhere on planet Earth. We convey more talent than any place on the planet. This state, I mean, R&D, what did Tesla just do? They moved back into the state of California. Disney's moving their jobs back from Florida in the state of California. You didn't acknowledge per capita more Floridians coming back to California than Californians going to Florida.
He actually didn't talk about that. I would just leave that there and then ask him that question.
I love this
know
state.
he's squirmed.
Don't count us out. I've been hearing this bashing all my life.
I am not, but I have a list of all the state headquarters, and I'll scroll them on our screen, and you can take a look at them. These are all the corporations that have left your state.
And we're creating
their corporate headquarters, one after another after another. There's a lot. So what I'm pointing out is,
how many jobs are we creating? How many unicorn companies? How many IPOs? Three times.
My question is, wouldn't he think that this is a bad thing? California companies and California companies moving to Texas and bringing all of their workers there. Don't you hate this? Won't you be like, watch this? As soon as like Texas is like 0.5%, he's going to be running segments like, we got to get these fucking Californians out of here. These guys, like every single day, they're going to be like, we need to do something about this. They keep moving in. They keep making us so liberal. Please, somebody stop them. Dude, Texas is going to be statewide, like liberal, pretty soon, and I'm really excited. I want to do like a 24/hour stream, just like watching conservative takes in like 2028 or something. If Texas goes blue, that shit will be so funny. It will be so funny. I hope more. Listen, I haven't talked about this idea in a little while, but I still wholeheartedly believe it, as goofy as it sounds. I believe in a form of colonialism, okay? One form of colonialism, and it's democratic colonialism of Republican states. I believe this. I think the Democratic president, House and Senate should one day push people to move into red states and then not only make it profitable, but make it easy and make it like net, like you get money, right, out of it, and then keep voting blue and then turn those states blue. I think that's what we need. We need these people to go into red states, build up red states, make people bring more money into the state, helps out those people in the state, and then replace the population with blue voting, with a blue voting population. I feel like that would go crazy. I think like states that should be done in, and it's kind of being done at the moment, like Texas. Texas should be colonized by the left, okay? Texas should be colonized by the left. Florida should be colonized by the left. But I think like Kansas is a good target for colonization. North Carolina is also a good state for colonization as well. I really think that would go crazy. Wyoming, I think it'd be easier to get people into North Carolina than Wyoming. You know, Georgia, I think needs to be colonized even faster. It's kind of working. When I say the left, I'm talking about like actual politics, we're talking about actual politics of the country, not like what we want it to be. But yeah, these damn California illegals come in and take our jobs and destroy our culture. I know, right? Can you imagine? Can you imagine if that happens and Republicans do a fucking land back? Then they're like, wait a second. Oh man, they're like, and they look at Native American. They're like, wait a second. They're coming into our states. They're taking our land and our jobs. They're kicking us out. I think red states need to be gentrified, but gentrify just Republicans out of it and like force them to move. I think that would go crazy. And just drown them in we need to pay corporations to move their headquarters and businesses out of blue states and into red states, usually ones close to, you know, the coast and the border, and then force them and then like make it not only profitable, but just like, but basically we fund the entire thing through the government, colonize these places, spread them out as well so they won't be in just one big city. Do like smaller cities as well. Get like you get more tax breaks and you get more money from the government if you go to smaller cities, and then just gentrify the fuck out of them, and then just have them be federally blue forever. And then Republicans are going to be like, how could they do this to us? We were here first. God, Native Americans look at them, first time, huh? First time, huh?
It was insignificant, inconsequential. We create more companies every single day, more billionaires.
I'm scrolling these companies.
One half of America's $1 billion valued companies are in the state of California. This state economy has outperformed the nation, 3.1% in the last decade, 2.1% nationwide. I've been hearing this nonsense for half a century, literally half a century.
But they've only left in recent years.
How many have we created? How many new IPOs? How many new opportunities? How many jobs were taken out of the state of California when Tesla moved its headquarters? You don't know that because it was insignificant.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
Oh man, crazy. Crazy little fight, huh? Hannity coping hard. He really is. He really is coping hard. Chances Republicans initiate communism to own the libs? I hope. It would be very funny. It would be really, really funny. Also, if this is Sean Hannity's position that when businesses move work outside of one place into another place, that means that other place is just simply better. Does he think that China is a better country than America? Does he think that like offshoring these like offshoring means that like Afghanistan, India, and China are better countries? Probably doesn't, right? I don't know, maybe he would believe that if that was the case. If that's why offshoring happens, if that's why moving business from one place to another place means that other places just simply better and not just cheaper, then wouldn't China be a better country and always has been a better country since like Bill Clinton? Doesn't really make much sense if you think about it, but you know, whatever, I guess. American exception. You're so high on American exceptionalism that you circle back around to being anti-American. My boy is on a bad trip. That is very funny. I mean, like, I'm not like a huge fan of Newsom. I think he did pretty okay, honestly. I don't keep up with all of Newsom's policies, but I think he's better than DeSantis, so I'll take that, I guess. They should debate. DeSantis and Newsom should do a debate. That'd be really funny, I think, personally. I think that'd go crazy. DeSantis would be my name is Ron DeSantis. I think he would get completely obliterated, and it would be really, really funny. Oh, that guy can't debate for the life of him. Oh, sorry. I didn't see you there. If you're enjoying the content, hit the subscribe button. If you don't, it'll make Boo very sad. I know a bunch of you who are watching are not subscribed. Join the frenzy. You won't regret it. Thank you, Boo.